Hey, Hmm. Hey, in the wrong spot.
Hmm.
Oh, how's it going, fellas? Yeah, I'm still sweating. It's ridiculous. It still got hot here in Alabama, and I've been outside doing stuff. It was like 30 minutes before, well, about an hour before the live, and if it could happen, it did happen around here. So I've been running, trying to get in here. Had to go get some plywood between thunderstorms, and then car windows break and won't go up. There's a thunderstorm coming. It's just been a mess. Is my dust collection fan too much? Me and Brandy
I
were in here
can't.
cleaning.
I can't hear it.
So
So I don't.
y'all can thank Brandy for the machines not being covered in dust because it's been a week in here. So she was in here. Me and her were both in here with shop vacs earlier trying to clean up from the weekend. Usually I do that leading up to the live, but it was a little hectic. So she come in here and we were double double working it there.
Yeah. Well, I was doing everything but that. I was making a mess in my shops. So that's why I'm down here. it's
I was
they're both in
wondering.
flux right now. It's I biting the bullet. I've been dragging my feet on getting reworking a couple of the workbenches in my basement shop so that it's more functional, which will allow me to get a couple more things out of the main shop so that that's more functional. And it's one of those things where there's like you identify, well, I need to do this, but before I do that I need to do this, but before I do that I need to, it just kind of goes backwards a ways. And I'm like, well, I gotta start somewhere. So I
Yeah.
made some good progress on that. And hopefully I get some time this week to finish up more of it, get back to the fun projects. So
Yeah. All right. A little bit of roll call here for a minute. Guys, I'm trying to collect myself and rehydrate. I done drank 2 glasses of tea since I got in here. What's up, James from Ozark, Alabama? Brian, hello, sir. How are you today? Chris, Scott, Jim Pitts from Wichita. Mr. Norbert said he's there for the tailgate party. I hear you. 88 degrees. That's pretty warm. It's not, it ain't Alabama hot, but that's pretty warm. Aldrich Customs, welcome, Pennsylvania. Scott Johnson, Eastern Nebraska. I'm not. I had the urge to do a corn joke, but I'm not. So,
it's
Midnight Sun Works from Illinois. Hello, how are you? One of your neighbors up there, Steve, Peter, up in British Columbia.
hey now.
Jeff Benedict. Hello, sir. Uh, yeah, I thought I got a message from maybe it was you that messaged me the other day. But if you message me on the on Messenger, a lot of times I may see it if I'm at work if it's not too hectic. But now sometimes it's a little hectic. But I have no problem uh, meeting you at the interstate for lunch. Lunch is usually at 11 though. If you're gonna eat lunch with me, you got to be there at 11. I eat early.
Hmm.
Mr. Larry Broom, how are you, sir? Kenton, Texas. Mark, Roger, Darren is it's a bunch of people. It's starting to fill up, ain't it? Yeah. Soaking in rays, Space Coast, Florida. Steve, wouldn't you just love to go hang out on their porch and watch rockets launch?
uh Depends on the weather. Yeah. But yes, it's a bucket list item.
Yeah. Oh, I know that's one of yours with all the airplane enthusiast stuff that you do,
Well,
which I would like to see it too.
NASA, little rocket up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I was joking with this with my wife the other day. Any NASA related Legos within reason. Okay, I mean if they were like getting close to four digits of the price tag, maybe I would. But those always go over well as gifts for me.
Yeah. Brian
Is that
said we ought
hard
to
to
leave
shop
you on
for?
the
I'm hard to
bottom
shop for.
so that you could look up to me.
You know, I still have the screen down lower though, so it's
Yeah, I hear you. Always making short jokes, and I'm not even short. That's what's terrible about it.
short's relative. You're
Hey,
short.
look at there, Chris. You got a neighbor in the house, Mr. Aaron Talman, maybe. Victoria, Australia. I hear you. See, that's a cool place, but it's gonna have to save up my pennies to make it to Australia. That's that's quite a plane ride. Somebody doesn't know you very well. Mia says you are a great man. Oh, so
Well,
all right. So let's see what. Oh, well, welcome Elaine from where's she saying? Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
First live. Working through her laser on training wheels. Yeah, that's the best way to learn it. It's kind of like riding a bicycle. You're gonna have some scrapes. You're gonna have some spills. Uh, you know, just get in there and get after it. That's the best way to learn.
I was taught to ride a bike by being shoved down a little hill. It was kind of
Yeah,
like
that's what I said. There's gonna be scrapes.
ride or die, right?
Yeah. Sup, Cody? Mr. Cody Elkins, the creator and owner of Cadence Manufacturing. I was showcasing one of your bits again today. Did a little Alabama emblem. I don't know if you saw that or not. Uh, the question of the month, man. This question just keeps coming up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. How do I say this? And I'm not going to speak for Steve. I'll let him explain his situation. I was contacted by my rep because I don't know if you guys know how it works, but each one of us, I guess, has a rep, and I don't know how they determine who gets who, but Steve and I have two different reps that we deal with that reach out to us, because I don't reach out to companies. I know there are channels that do, but I don't reach out to them. I reply to emails. The only companies I've ever reached out to for anything was when I bought my Shapeco. I asked for an affiliate account since I was going to be advertising for them, but I didn't ask for a machine, of course. Uh, they did tell me I was going to get one, but then they sent me an email said there was a delay, and the last I heard, because everybody's been asking, so I sent my contact an email and I said, hey, people are asking me, am I off the list? Do I need to order one? If I want it, where am I at? And he said that the first round of machines that went out were beta machines, and he was going to wait and get me one of the ones that were not betas, that were the final product. Uh, that's probably just an excuse for me not making the cut on the first pass, but whatever. I'm cool with it. They did ask me early on to make some teaser videos about the machine, and me and Steve both have kind of a policy of, I'm not going to sit here and do teasers with a machine that I don't have until I get hands on it so that I can say, yes, it does this, or yes, it does that. That's just kind of my thing. So maybe the fact that I didn't do the teasers, or I didn't kind of talk it up ahead of time, maybe that got me pushed back down the list a little bit, but I'm okay with it either way. If they want me to see the machine, they'll reach out. If not, then hey, I'm having fun with my little F1 anyway. So, but Steve, you can. What is your situation on that? I know, like I said, everybody keeps asking me. I've gotten emails and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the same as you. I was asked about it. I had to sign an NDA months ago about it. They gave me details of what they were wanting, when it would ship. I mean, this was all before I came down there, and you and I were supposed to have them about the time that I was down there.
Yeah.
But then we heard nothing, and then got the email saying, "Oh, well, they've been delayed," and that it would be, um, I guess, maybe in June. Uh, and kind of the same bit, hey, do you want to do a teaser video and set? And I said, no, we'll mention it on our. This is where we would tease anything. Like, yes, we've heard this, because we can
Yeah.
have more of a back and forth on it. Whereas a teaser video it's pure marketing, and I don't. I I try really hard not to do that. I mean, even in my review videos, I try to do them around projects and tips and whatnot, and not have it just be like, hey, here's this
Yeah.
cool thing, buy it. Which, yeah, I like you say, I think they were looking for more marketers, and if we get one, we get one. If we don't, that's up to X
Yeah.
Tool. But um, been seeing some interesting things about them. Would love to get my hands on one and play with it to see how well it goes, and see if it lives up to some of the hype.
Let me turn my
But
fan off.
but yeah, I'm not. I wasn't willing to do the do the hyping of it. without having to even look at it. So
Yeah.
we wait.
Yeah, and like I said, I have no reason to believe that they want to eventually reach out about it. Like I said, the guy that I talked to, he's usually been a pretty good straight shooter with me through all the different products that I've gotten, and I have got a couple of machines like pre-release. My X Tool S1 was a pre-release, and I don't know that that's always the best time to get them. I'm gonna be honest with you because if you remember, I wound up having to redo my motherboard in mine. But now mine, like I said, mine was one of those beta machines. I got it a month or two before they ever even announced it. I had to do videos with a blanket covering it up just in case because the penalty for showing it early was something I didn't want to have to pay. So,
Yeah.
so just to be careful when I wasn't using it, I had it covered up with a blanket because they make you sign those contracts saying that you won't show it until the date that they release it.
Yeah.
But so
And
being a beta tester isn't always the best, especially if it's a machine you plan on keeping for a while and using. I mean, I kind of would rather have the one that they've worked all the bugs out of. So
right. Yeah, and I would rather not have the pressure of, hey, here are these deadlines. We want these videos out around this stuff. I'd rather it be it's released, people can buy it, and that tends to take the pressure off of meeting these like launch deadlines. Like I
yeah,
want, there's some lasers that everything works really well. You're able to kind of do some projects with it and speak about it. There's others where things are a little weird and you want to spend some
yeah,
time working with it to make sure that uh that it is what it is. I mean, I think I've said that before. I've, both in my model airplane stuff and in, my workshop stuff, I've had things where right out of the box I thought they were great, right out of the box I thought they were horrible, and my impression of them over time has switched both from it was a great tool and now it's horrible to it was a horrible tool, and once I kind of figure some of the bugs out, it's actually really good. So I try to
yeah.
give it enough time to not be a gut reaction, but some actual experience that and a stable reaction. So
Yeah, Mark said he is the proud owner of a Lasermatic MK2 XW 30 watt. Supposed to be
oh,
shipping
very
out
nice.
tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, that is a good machine. Especially if you're going for the all enclosed, but you like the traditional gantry style machine. I like mine, and I know you've got one now, so you can speak to it as well. So, but yeah, it's a good machine.
This seems to be one of the things this year is the kind of the all enclosed laser. Between some of them that have that, like the A24 from Atom Stack with the add-on enclosure to the ones that are built in the S1 and the
We create.
trying to remember some of the others. The We Create, and then of course the Lasermatic. Those are really growing on me. I love flexibility of some of the others, and being able to create your own enclosure, which that's not. Speaking of reorganizing my shop, that's part of the motivation for this. I need to make space for that. But there's something to having it be all in one, ready to go, cameras in the right spot, minor calibration stuff, and roll with it. That is really nice.
Robert said he ordered the F1 Ultra with the belt. If we want, if we want, he can follow up. Do us some B-roll. We can just talk about it.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it'll come. Like I said, right now I've got a lot going on, and I had, if they had have delivered the machine, it would have failed right before this Peach Jam event that I'm trying to get ready for. So it's probably a blessing that it didn't, because I'm a little behind the eight ball on getting ready for that. I think I'm gonna be fine. I've got enough stuff already in the trailer that I've done for my attention grabbers and stuff like that. I got my inventory on my small stuff in. I've got the jigs set up, got the files organized. I put them on Google Drive so I don't forget and leave my jig files at home for the computer. And I'm gonna also put them on a thumb drive and move them over to the laptop, probably the night or two before the event once I start making my final preparation. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
in hindsight too, if I would have gotten that laser, I would have been feeling way too much pressure. Just
yeah,
so many things going on at work lately. Between we lost my boss as CFO, and now our senior accountant is out with a family emergency, we've got a couple of huge projects. I'm just surprised I'm getting any workshop time.
Yeah, Elaine says so far she hadn't had any fires. Happy to report. So that's
Well,
good.
make sure
If you do it right and you stay in the room with it and you have the proper equipment, you should be fine.
and by proper equipment, at least a small spritz bottle, and then maybe a backup fire extinguisher.
Yep. 99 times out of 100, the Windex bottle with a little bit of H2O in there does the trick. And
or even just blowing on it.
Yeah, air assist is your best friend when it comes to that as well.
Sometimes.
But yeah. So let's see who else. I'm trying to scroll these comments, but they're overwhelming me a little bit here. So if I skip anybody giving a shout out, I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll through them and keep caught up. I hate being so far behind in the comments that it's like our conversation is missed. Oh, there it is, Cody. Cody said he's in here to see some teasing.
Well, we are good at that.
Good job. Yeah, Travis, I'm going to tell you, Father's Day, laser engravable stuff and Father's Day kind of go hand in hand. You just got to get something out there. Do a couple projects, put them on your Facebook page or whatever. Folks will see them and you'll get a few sales off of it. If you have an Etsy shop, of course, you should have already been putting keywords Father's Day and event Father's Day on your posts and stuff. But
yeah,
I don't do a lot of physical products on Etsy, so I just do most of my stuff around here, and it keeps me plenty busy. That and the channel and everything. I've got plenty right now on my plate. Kevin said he got him an Ultra too, with the wife saying, "Get it." Hey, that's good. When the wife approves, that's good. Those couches can be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's how I ended up with my new table saw. Wife said, "Well, it was a saw stop," so she said, "Definitely get it." Between myself out there a lot and our kids occasionally being in the shop, he's like, "You have the money, go buy it."
Yep. What's up, David Allen? How are you, sir? That's a great name you got there. Hey, have I caught up on comments? What? Yes, I have. Yep, like was it? Pretty sure it was Sharon. If you don't mind, hit that like button there. Oak Island, North Carolina. Is that where the treasure's buried? Is that the Oak Island, or am I at the wrong one? Isn't that where the
if it was known, wouldn't they have dug it up?
Well, they keep trying. People keep dying up there. Is that the same Oak Island, or is it a different one?
I don't know.
There's probably a bunch of Oak Islands.
Well,
Verl. Yeah, for some reason, Etsy, you can upload a file, like change a file and re-upload it, and they will not change. It won't, for some reason, you still get the same file that was in there when you bought it. I don't know why they won't let it update, but message me from your order and just send me a message and let me know. And I've got a way I can send you the updated set. I don't normally keep updating them for very long periods, but that one was kind of new and with the box and everything, so I figured it'd be a cool update. So if you'll message me from your order in Etsy, I'll send you a link to get the current file. That's the best I can offer. I went in and updated it on Etsy, but it still will not let people download it.
All right. So since I'm here instead of in the shop, we've got a guest.
Oh, look at there! Is that you? Did you steal one of my cats while you was down here?
No, but he's fairly young. We adopted him and his brother earlier this year. This is Pippin, and he is a food fiend. He doesn't think he ever eats enough. So
he looks a little thin. He's not near as fluffy as Fluffy is.
He was the runt of the family, which was we ended up adopting the largest one out of the litter and the runt. So
okay, so that's a different Oak Island. All right, yeah. Lance is saying it's outside of Canada, Treasure one, East Coast. Okay. Yeah, I just knew I'd heard of Oak Island because I believe it or not, guys, I know it makes me sound like a total nerd if you didn't already think I was a nerd, but I watch a lot of Discovery Channel and treasure hunts and ancient aliens and the tycoon. What is it? The Titans that built America and stuff like that. I don't watch typical movies. There is one that's in theaters and available right now that I'm really wanting to watch, but they want $24 for it to stream it, and
Hmm.
oof, I just don't know. I don't like I don't like paying that much money when I'm the only person in the house that's going to watch it. I can have a watch
Well,
party, I guess.
I mean, it's cheaper than going to some things, but
Yeah,
uh
and I'm gonna end up doing it, but
so hey, oh, you just hit it.
nope.
Glenn from Alaska, newbie with a P2 learning XCS. The that they keep evolving that software, but I know I did some recently on the S1. It's just going to be similar to the P2. I also have a couple videos of developing some things on the P2 that'll hopefully help you along, as well as Clack. So definitely check those out. But feel free to ask
Yeah,
questions. It's a decent machine. A lot you can do with it.
yeah. I like the P2, especially if you're doing a lot of acrylics. You got a cattail in your ear.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's rubbing on the microphone.
that's some clack shack problems there. But yeah, it's a good machine. I don't use it as often because one, I've got so many other machines that can do the smaller stuff, and I don't want to just wear it out and dirty up the mirrors and stuff. So I kind of save it for acrylics most of the
Well,
time.
though, CO2s like to be exercised.
Well, I do use it probably about. I'd say I probably run it about once a week.
Okay,
But
yeah, that's good.
but
But yeah, I mean,
as far as like when I come home in the afternoons, like this machine or that machine or whichever, if I'm doing like bamboo cutting boards and cutting out stuff, these machines will run for usually at least one machine in this shop runs for 2 or 3 hours a day. But I don't do as much of the wood stuff in it as I
sure.
do the acrylics. Now, if that's something like an oak plaque or something like that, I'll do it in there. But I don't do a lot of cutting of plywood in there because, as we know, plywood has glues, and glues make fumes. Fumes stick to stuff. So it's kind of like, hey, I'll use these other machines. They're a lot easier to clean up after.
Yeah, just I know some people who um they buy a spare tube and it sits around for a long time, or they haven't used it in 6 months or so, or they're going to buy a used
Oh
CO2
no,
and they're like, that's one of the things that those tubes, if they sit, the longer they sit without being used, the more degraded they get. So if you get a CO2 laser, make sure you're using it, even if you just run a random job on it, like you say,
yeah.
a couple times a month or something, because otherwise, yeah, you're risking that tube just kind of sitting there going bad quickly. So
Well, I've been working on a project for May that requires acrylic, so I actually ran it quite a bit this past week, doing some prototyping and some testing. So it actually got ran more in the past 2 weeks than it has in a while because I've been doing a lot of acrylic. Lance, a lot of the nano jigs are the same. Some of the new products that I came out with, I didn't spill them over to the nano because it was just the F1 that I'm using with them right now. But technically, yeah, the you with a little bit of work, you could technically use the F1 jigs with the nano. There's a little bit of resizing that would need to be done. It's basically the same shape. Uh, so if you got the F1 set, you could slightly modify the size of the panels, and they would work with the nano as well. It's not that much of a difference. I think there's 3 or 4 millimeters difference in the size of the panels. I think it's not a lot. So you really seriously, you could just literally just click it and then resize it and then burn it.
yeah, we were playing with that when I was down there. I forget, is it just a bit smaller or bigger? The cutout. It was
I think
one direction or the other.
stand by.
But I mean, all you need to do is figure out that out that the plug shape once, and then you can drop all the jigs into it. So
Yeah, and the shape is the same for either machine. It's just one is slightly smaller, and it's the Nano that's just slightly smaller. There you go. There's the two plates.
There you
The
go.
nano, like I said, it's my trusty tape measure. The nano is like, is that 103? Yeah, 103. And the F1 is about 108 and a half, 109. I'd probably say 108 and a half, and then kerf would make it fit snugly. I don't remember what I used. But yeah, so it's not much difference. So if you bought this file and you resized it to this size, as far as the outer cut, you could still use the item parts on this one. So yeah, it's very, very similar. But I didn't have the F1 when I made this one, but I did borrow the design.
Travis has the 20-watt Fashida from Elegoo. It's been a great machine. It's cut anything he's thrown at it. Would just like an inexpensive but functional indoor desktop style enclosure for it. Any advice? Mine
That
actually loaned out to a friend, and he did buy one. It was one of those fabric styles, but I can't remember offhand what it is. And that machine is a little bit wider than your
the
typical.
longer does longer have a fabric one because the longer one should work. I
That,
think it's
that's
a little
a
bigger.
uh,
I can't
yeah.
remember the exact dimensions.
They do have one. It's about $60, but I don't know if it fits that, because that one, their lasers are deeper than wider, I think. Right?
The longer, yes, it's y-axis is deeper.
But Elegoo they do have it's kind of one of those soft-sided Velcro together ones. It's $140.
Yeah.
But it it's designed for the Fashida. How would you say that one?
What about that acrylic one that you had? How big is that? You think? I mean,
No, that's about 20. That one fits your typical 400 by 400. It's about 26 inches square. So I don't know that it would fit in that one. And plus, that one is all acrylic. It's nice, but it's expensive.
yeah.
Um, so
Sculpt
yeah, I
fun.
mean, Elegoo has theirs. That's kind of meant for it. But it's
Yeah.
$140. You might be able to fit it into the larger Comgrow one, like you have your 3D printer in and such.
Yeah.
I think that one's more like that one fits my 500 by 500 honeycomb. So that might
Perimeter
work, but
alert.
it's
Delivery
really
box.
tall and it doesn't really have the colored acrylic in it to provide really any protection. So
Sculpt Fun makes a 700 by 700. I tried one of those out early on. The remember the like chartreuse and gray one.
mhm.
It's 700 by 700. So, but now the front doesn't look on this picture. It doesn't look laser resistant. So, but that one's only like $50. And if you're just trying to contain the smoke and keep down on the flashes and stuff, that would probably work.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure I think I used one of the soft-sided tents with mine, but I had to like squeeze it over it, like pop the legs loose and reattach them, so it kind of got locked in there a little bit. But there are options.
yeah.
But um, yeah, it's with any of them outside of the ones that are actually made out of the laser safe acrylic, you're probably still going to want to wear the eyewear. Because
Yeah.
most of those, I have a little low power blue laser that's really close to the same wavelength.
Perimeter
And
alert.
it shoots right
Driveway.
through those. So, but yeah, check the measurements of those. I'll have to ask my friend to see which one he bought, because I'm pretty sure it was one of those tent style ones, and he says it does fit. It's snug, but it fits.
Yeah, my niece has got my Elegoo right now, so I don't have it to measure.
It's a pretty decent machine. I mean, it cut really well. It's just that whole
Yeah,
smoke
that filter. Yeah, that
filter
filter
is,
system was a little janky,
yeah.
and that's why I said in my video, don't count on it. I mean, it'll knock the edge off of it, but
Yeah.
Perimeter alert. Delivery box.
what have we
You got
got?
people
Like,
just walking around out there, huh?
oh wait a minute, it's Sunday. That's Brady taking the trash down. I was fixing to say, what do we got going on?
Well, Robert moved his shop to the Snap-on truck. That sounds expensive. Because it has climate control, it will make me more mobile if I want to. I mean, if you've got access to one of those, a big, high, shop like that would be a way to do it.
Yeah.
As with anything, you want to make sure your suspension is tuned so that you don't bounce more so with like the CO2 lasers, the mirrors and everything in alignment, such, but and glass tubes and whatnot. But that's always my concern with some of these smaller trailers. You've got the nice tandem axle, little beefier
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah,
But,
that was intentional. Because I have pulled single axles before, and it's like pulling a trampoline. So, so
both mine can be. Yep.
So I was like, no, we're gonna go ahead and spring for the extra axles.
Mhm.
It cost me a little bit more, but I mean, really, if you think about the cost of the trailer, one more set of axles, if you buy it already built out like that, it's not that big of a price difference. And with mine,
you take it
mine's like, yeah,
Till
I
you
was
take
like,
it on all the toll roads.
well, I don't have toll roads around here, so I'm not too concerned about that part. Bill, what are you doing? Letting bees fly away over there? That man, I tell you what, he just can't keep bees. They just keep leaving his house. No, I wasn't there to catch them today.
Had enough okay. 4040 Pro Genmitsu at times get high pitched squeal while carving. Adjust higher speed or lower speed. Is it normal? Or is it normal at times? It kind of depends on the there's a squeal and then there's like chatter. If you're getting too much of a squeal, it might be that your spindle is going too fast, or your RPMs are too fast, or you're moving too slow through the material. If it's more of a chatter, then you might be going too fast through the material or need to speed
Or
your.
it's too slow.
Yeah, it could be either, but
Yeah.
yeah. Usually, if it's kind of that high pitched squeal, it means it's not it's turning too fast of an RPM for the speed that the spindle's going through, and it's actually burnishing the wood a little bit instead of cutting clean chips.
Yeah, you'll if it's squealing and you're getting really fine powder, or if it's starting to like almost scorch the edge of the wood, then you're going way too slow with the bit spinning way too fast. And like Steve said, you can either slow the RPMs on the spindle down, or you can speed up your movement. I'm still dialing in mine. Like every job I run, it seems like I have to bump it a little bit up because I keep being too conservative. Now I have learned that the little 1/8" Jenny bit, the down cut, when you're cutting red oak with it, it really don't matter how fast you go, it's going to squeal just a little bit. But it's not that high pitched squeal. It's just more of a, you can hear it going through that material, but it's because it's such a hard wood, I guess, that it does make a little bit of a noise. And I'm probably not going near as deep with the things I need to, Cody, if you're watching, because I'm scared I'm going to break that. That 1/8" scares me. I'm afraid I'm going to snap it. Because I've been pushing it pretty fast through this oak today, and I was like, that thing's gonna snap. Like I'd be sitting there like this, bumping the speed up, just watching for fragments to come flying at me, but it never did. So
Yeah. Well, Cody would say push it harder. I believe he's got little ones he got to take care of, so he's got like they just
Yeah.
had a newborn a few weeks ago, so I'm sure he's
Yeah.
real busy with all the kids. But definitely play around with your feed rate on that one, or on mine with the Makita router, rarely over 3 on that dial. So you can probably back that off as well too. So
Yeah, that would depend too on, like I said, if he's using a spindle or a Makita or DeWalt. If you're using the DeWalt, I will tell you the DeWalt. I didn't know this when I first got into it, but the DeWalt is a little harder to use with the 4040 than say the Makita would be, but it's because the speed doesn't go down as low as the Makita and some of the other routers. So you're always trying to push. You're trying to push the bit faster because you can't bring the RPMs down, and that can be a little problematic, especially if you're, depending on your depth. So if I had it to do over again, even though the DeWalt served me well once I learned, how to run it, I think I might could have done a little bit better job with the Makita or one of the other brands that would bring the RPMs down a little bit. Uh, because once I had both routers and ran both, then I realized, okay, the Makita, the only real advantage I found with it was I could slow it down with some of those bits that, that I was running a little bit too fast. So, but I went through two sets of brushes in my DeWalt, so I used it a lot.
Oh, sorry, I don't think we did this one. Kevin Rich is asking about XCS. Trying to play with it while waiting on the Ultra. It will not let me start a project without connecting it to my machine. Is there a workaround for that? Not that I'm aware of. They'll let you develop and play around with files and such, but as far as the preview and time estimate, it actually needs to be connected to the machine to do that function. So
You
you'll have to
actually
wait.
could download Lightburn though, and go ahead and start learning it and design some files, save them as SVGs, and then half the work's done when the machine gets there.
Sure, but I don't know how. I mean, I if I had the Ultra, I'd probably be sticking with XCS for the most part.
Yeah, to run it, but I'm saying as far as file designs, if he's wanting to learn how to
Yeah, but
design
you
files,
can design an XCS all you want. You just can't
yeah.
get to the point of getting the
Yeah.
time estimate and playing around with that stuff. So, but
Will it
yeah,
let you
unfortunately, I don't know that. What's that?
He said it wouldn't even let him start one, like try to engrave it. I think when they went to this new system, I don't think it'll let you do anything until it senses a machine.
Well, I don't know. I suppose.
Hang on, I'll find out. Hang on,
Yeah.
because all mine should be powered off. Let me see.
I wasn't thinking about that. So version 2, do I have that on here? We will see. While you're playing around with that,
Let's see what happens.
I don't know if I click new project. It's although I've already connected it to a machine, so or it
Yeah,
might be seeing mine on the network.
Yeah, because mine aren't connected, but it's letting me. But I have at one point had a machine on here, so
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you should be able to. You might just need to set up a phony device that's not available, possibly. Can you even do that?
that's what I'm fixing to look at. Connect device.
But I'm pretty
No,
sure
I don't
they
think it'll
have
let
let you
you.
before. So
Well, hang on, let me check something here. Have they discontinued? Like, can you still run the old XCS?
yeah, if you find the download for it,
Well, just so happens I know a guy.
okay.
Let's see, software. Laserbox Basic. You remember that one, don't you?
Oh,
that's been
Ew.
around for a minute. Let's see if I got it somewhere else. Software.
Yeah, speaking while you're looking for that, Chris Gallagher was commenting that he runs a material test once a week on the CO2 if there's no other acrylic jobs. That's a good way to kind of help maintain it. Also to check that it is still functioning. Your mirrors are in alignment for when you do need to do a job. So
Yeah, I may not have kept it. Let me look. I probably got it stuck somewhere in a folder. It's probably in my X-Tool machine folder. Let me go check that.
But Glenn's asking, how do you use the honeycomb on the P2 since it sits a bit taller? I have the honeycomb, but not brave enough to try it. If you have the riser, you could just slide it down. I don't know. I don't actually have the honeycomb for my P2, so I have not played around with it. On yours, does it sit on top of those rails?
You got to take the you take the blades out,
and it sits on the.
It sits in the same hole the blades.
Okay, yeah.
So the work surface is actually the same as the blades.
So you take the blades out, Oh, that's right, because they've got that side storage compartment on the
Yeah.
on the pass through part. But so yeah, take the blades out, put the honeycomb in. It should sit on the rails. You have don't you have like a jig for holding that in place too?
Yeah, because it likes to shuffle if you
Yeah.
don't. But when you take the blades out, it's got this little. They've added a little piece of metal to the honeycomb right there. That literally just sits on those little shoulders where the blades normally would be.
Mhm.
And once you get this put in there, and you want it where it says X tool, you want that up. It'll go in there the other way. Uh, if you ever, it's a little cheat. If you ever need just a little more work area, you can flip it upside down, but it's made to go in this way. Because if you flip it the other way, it'll actually give you. You can see where they've got this mounted. It'll give you a couple of millimeters extra work area if you flip it upside down. But yeah. Well, I said it would. No, it won't. It won't sit in there, right? Because of the rivets. Never mind.
Well, along those lines, Robert Barnes is asking with the P2, with the
Yeah,
pass through
that's
function,
P2 honeycomb
will
block.
it fit sheets of acrylic, or do you have to normally rip them down for cutting? Um, so as long as it fits into the width of the pass through, which is going to be what, 22 inches?
I don't have a pass. Well, I do have a pass through.
Yeah, you
I
got
don't
the
have
pass through.
I don't have the conveyor.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between the pass through and the conveyor. The conveyor is
Hang
limited
on.
to
I've never
thinner,
used the
but
pass through.
as long as it fits through there, which is like around 22 to 24 inches.
24, 20,
Yeah.
almost 25. If you were trying to sit something under it, you could sit something up to about 25 inches. But now, when you take that crumb tray out and drop it, I think the inside of the crumb tray is smaller. Significantly.
So as long as your sheets are thin, I would say 24 inches wide or less, you should be able to fit it through there.
See, this is the crumb tray that comes out of it. And 26 and an eighth. But the inside dimensions of the crumb tray are 25 exactly. So, but now the work area is still going to be the work area. Like if you're trying to cut a piece of material, you're not going to, just because you can fit it in there, don't mean you're going to be able to cut it.
So Janie's asking, is there a material I can cut with diode laser to make stencils? I guess it depends on what you're going to use the stencils for. It could be as simple as, some tag board, you get the right color, or cardstock. You could do that for thinner stencils. If you have a thin acrylic, you could use that. I've also used some hardboard material that's like about a 16th inch thick. That's kind of like the stuff you have on the back of a photo frame or whatnot. That you can kind of cut out with a diode, but kind of depends on what you're using the stencils for, and how much you need them to be reusable or tight, or have a larger lip to them. But yeah, there's some different materials you could use for sure.
3mm black acrylic if you're trying to use like spray paint stencils or whatever. Those will work. I use this stuff a lot if it's just a little spray paint job. This is just construction paper, just like heavy paper. It cuts really easy. Now, if you have a CO2, of course you can get this stuff. It's pretty awesome, but you can't cut it except with a CO2. This is Mylar, and this is 10 mil, 12 by 12 sheets of Mylar. But you got to have a CO2. I've tried every diode in the room. It just don't work. You come up with a melted mess.
Tom's asking about the Atom Stack A70. Knows we both have them, tested them out, but don't see everything we do. But haven't seen us using them a lot lately. Is he correct? And if not, why? I can speak for myself. I have the plans mostly done up to build an enclosure, and I plan on doing a video of it where I'm going to force myself to use as basic of tools as I can to show people you can build one of these But I need to. That's part of my whole shop shuffle. I need to get some things out of the way so I have space to set it up and run it. So for me, the 70 has been kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting me for to get its enclosure done. But you've been
Yeah.
using yours some.
Oh, I've been running a stew out of mine. Oh, I love it. It's like having a bandsaw in a box over here. Now it's not in there right now, but the only reason it's not is because I've been testing that guy out, and I'm still running it right now. Just running it through the paces. I will tell you, that one does a really good job with pretty much everything I've engraved with it. It's not a cutter. It is because I'm spoilt. I'm used to having the 40 and the 70, and having that 20 over there. It's a bit of a handicap, but I'm trying to thoroughly test it and run it and make sure everything works on it the way it's supposed to. But no, if I think for the last several lives, I mean, mine's been in a lot of videos. Now I didn't do anything that like specifically said Adam Stack 70 watt, but a lot of my projects I've done, a lot of the cutting I've done. I mean, I've run it a good bit. I've had to clean it like 5 times already. So I was a little worried. I shot the lens the other day. I was being crazy, cutting 3/4 inch pine with it. But but no, it's so far I haven't had any problems out of it. The Z-axis, I was expecting the Z-axis to be a letdown when I first heard about it, but so far it is the best working Z-axis that I've got to use. Now, don't be wrong, the Niji, I like that Z-axis. It works fine. What was the other one? The Two Trees TTS TS20 or whatever. The Z-axis on it works fine, but the only improvement I see on the Z-axis they could have made on this one is if the little foot was like robotic to where it only came down when you were setting the focus and then it sucked back up out of the way. Like if they had just maybe like just one little actuator or something that would
kind of like
press
on
it
the
out there.
kind of like on the S1 where it drops it down, folds,
Yes,
and then
yes,
resets it. Yeah,
that's the only improvement, I guess you could say, that I see with it. Other than that, they nailed it with that machine, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
70 watt is not as fine as say a 20 watt would be for engraving, but for just regular vector stuff, it does a good job. I have it. Text, you can do some really really deep text and do it really really fast. But the one thing I will tell you is make sure you've got a really good fan in your enclosure because that thing chugs some smoke.
Yeah, I would say right now my I want to get the 70 back up and running for that cutting ability.
Yeah, mine's
So
just
it's
parked right there.
so it's that one. That one's good, and then I've been using the S1 a lot down in my basement shop, and then getting that Lasermatic going. So I've got a nice mixture of with those. With the Lasermatic, you can drop it down to 10. The S40 is kind of a good middle ground, and it's got a little bit wider and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely still a really good laser. Everything David said about it, like with the Z-axis, it's a workhorse, and it's working well. But you'll see more of it in the future as I get that stuff set up.
Yeah, mine is literally, I took it because the way my enclosure is set up, I can lift that machine out. I've got a little leg jig in there that holds it in place, undo the cables, lift it out, set it over here on the table, grab my 70, set it back in there, plug it back in, and go back to work. And because of the way my jig system is built into the enclosure and everything, I don't have to recalibrate my camera. I don't have to redo any of my jigs. Like everything will work exactly like it did when I pulled it out of there. So I use this box for testing machines, and with the 70 being so big and the MK2 that's in there now being smaller, it actually fits inside the footprint of the 70, so I don't have to remove any of my little jigs or anything. And you can see, well, I think you can. No, that fish eye's kind of messing with it, but the holders from my other machine are still in there. I haven't taken them out. That way, if I have a big cutting job come in, I can literally unplug that thing, set it to the side, put my other one back in here. So I just had to run the new Algo for a little while, and it's like I said, I'm kind of liking the little controller built on the front of it because I keep finding myself using it to move it to set the focus. I don't ever use offline controllers, but
so not board working apparently needs to move.
Yeah, he says he's coming. He's coming to hang out at the Peach Jam this weekend. So hopefully the weather will be good, and I'll try
Maybe
to
he'll
make
leave
sure
you
I
with
have
a snake.
I have extra. Yeah, you can leave the snake with at home. We've got plenty here. But yeah, he was saying he's planning on seeing him. I set up this weekend. So yeah, hopefully lots of people get to see it because I need to sell some stuff because I kind of bought a lot of inventory, but it's mostly small stuff. So if I don't sell it this time around, it's not perishable or anything. Those anodized aluminum pieces keep pretty well. All right, so just did the delete of the stock fan out of my Polar 350 after watching your video today, Clack. Thanks for the advice. She really sucks now. Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the only there's been a few machines that I've had in the shop, and the P2, the S1, all of these fully enclosed machines. The fan that they come with from factory is fine if you're running 24 inches of hose. But like with my little test setup, which is the one I used the other day when I was running my F1, I had to put me a 4-inch fan up there to kind of assist. But since I've done that, this thing has zero smoke in it now. And I've got it to where I kind of match the speed of that fan with the speed of this fan. And man, it pulls it out of there quick. So I don't think you could ever have too much fan. I think as long as you have a way of slowing it down and speeding it up, I think it's good to have.
DJS is asking any concerns with Creality Falcon Company. They ordered the new 60-watt Pro, should be here this month. You've played with a Creality laser, right?
Yeah, is it the 40? No, 20. It was a 20 watt. But yeah, the Creality makes a pretty good laser. They were one of the earliest ones that had like automated air assist. And that Falcon that I had, the Creality Falcon that I had automatic air.
Well, and
And
they had a lot of
ran it
the
for a long time.
didn't they have one of the earlier ones to get a lot of the cable routing and cable management done, kind of integrated really well and such. So
Yeah, it had, if I'm not mistaken, it had the little metal straps already built into it and everything. But yeah, it was a good machine. It looked a lot like, say, like the Algo as far as the way the cable management and stuff was. But yeah, it had that little block built on the gantry and everything. I've got a video I did on it, but yeah, I never had any problems with it. And then I gave it to Klein to use in his shop, and he ran it for a long time. I think my nephew's got it now. But yeah, it's a good machine. They had mentioned here a while back sending me another one, but they sent an email and they're like, "Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then crickets.
yeah, I've had this similar experience with them. Kind of they reach out and kind of start teasing things, and then I haven't heard. So, but I think like you say, a number of people have used them with reasonable success. That I wouldn't be too concerned about it right now.
Yeah. Asher's is asking about good customer service. And I'll be honest with you, Asher, I've only had 2 machines out of all the machines that I've had that I've ever had problems with and had to reach out to somebody because it was a problem that I couldn't fix myself, because most problems are going to be adjustments or backing screws backing out or something like that. The only 2 machines I've ever had to contact their support was I had a little bit of a hiccup with my MK2 that I had. That was really easy because I just sent an email to Leo and was like, "Hey, this is my problem. This is the symptoms." And he said, "I think it's the board. We're going to send you a new board." And so I got the new board, put the new board in, and it works. X-Tool, my S1, which keep in mind, my S1 was a beta. It was like one of the pre-release. I had it a month before they even come out with them. The board in it failed on me. And that one was a little more complex. They wanted to remote into it and pull the diagnostic logs and all that. And I was like, "Sure, go ahead." And so I connected it to the computer over there on the CNC, which only runs a CNC. And they went in, pulled the data logs, looked at it, and said, "Yeah, it looks like it may be the board. We'll send you one out." It took a little longer dealing with X-Tool, but it was mostly because of me, because it went down while I had some jobs going, and they would want me to, hook to it and do something, and I couldn't because I had the CNC running. and that was the machine I was using with the CNC. So I wound up putting them off for a couple of days. But within a week, I had the parts shipped to me for the S1 as well. Other than that, Algo laser, I had a firmware crash one time on the early Algo laser, the first alpha, and it was my fault. And I think it was a problem that they addressed in a firmware patch, but they had it to where if you held the power button down for so long or whatever, it would put it in like, I guess, developer mode or something. And somehow or another, I wound up hitting the button the right number of times, and it corrupted the firmware. So I had to reflash it. But the guy that I don't even remember his name now, but he's like the North American rep for their technical service or whatever, sent me the downloader for the soft firmware with a little PDF instruction and the most recent firmware. I flashed it and it's been working fine ever since. That's the only 3 instances I've ever had to use anybody's support. So I can't really speak to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only had, some back and forth with a few of them on, trying to troubleshoot some things. And usually they're like, oh, well, he'll try this firmware and whatnot. So I can't really speak too much to most of that, but I've heard really good things about, Lasermatic, with their support structure and such. X Tool, you hear both good and bad, but you got to remember they're a pretty big player in the company, and the more lasers are out there, the more you're going to hear people having issues with them. Unfortunately, with Acer, I've heard more and more people complaining about their support lately, and it's just nothing I've had to deal with, so I can't speak to that. But yeah, you got to remember that they are, the time difference can make a back and forth. One simple back and forth take a day and a half to 2 days. Because by the time you send it, they're asleep. They send it back, you're asleep. You reply, they're, that in itself can get frustrated.
Yes, it can. But like I said, I mean, they were actually when I had to deal with them on my S1, they were, I guess, more anxious to get it fixed than I was, because I was like, look, guys, I don't have time right now to shut down what I'm doing to work on it. I just wanted to let you know this is the problem that I'm having. And I'm pretty sure it's the motherboard from what I'm seeing. And of course, they didn't know they didn't know me from Adam's house cat. So instead of taking my word for it, and understanding that I've, worked on multiple lasers.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what that was. Did you just boot me?
No.
Oh, you're froze. You're froze on my end.
Okay.
I don't know if you're froze on everybody's end, but you're froze on my end.
No, I don't think so. I think it's your stuff being weird again.
Well, all right, that's cool. I can still see you over there in the far left. But yeah, it's like I said, they remoted in, did their little diagnostics, pulled the logs and everything, to figure out what was going on. It was during a firmware update that it died, and I can't guarantee that I didn't have a USB cable or a USB issue. My computer had been having some USB disconnect problems, so it may have been my computer that caused the problem during the firmware update with the S1. Don't know.
And just to kind of wrap that up, a lot of these lasers, while they can be used for business, are still considered hobby grade, and so the more business that you get that's going to be requiring you to do kind of just in time delivery of products, you're going to want to figure out your backup plan. Be that someone else that that has one, a second machine, something, because unfortunately they're not going to treat your issue as we've got to get you back up and running for business. They're going to treat it as like, well, this is while they sell them to small businesses, they don't have any sort of service level agreement with you to get you going back in any specific time frame. So
yeah, and if you want like 24-hour service from most of these bigger companies, you're gonna see it when you write the check.
Yeah, and I know some of my friends that have invested in larger lasers and bigger companies. are just as frustrated with the lack of support and the turnaround. So
Yeah.
you're going to spend a lot of money to guarantee someone's going to come fix your problem right away.
Yeah. David, if you go to my Amazon shop, I've swapped over to the V4 variable speed fans that they have. I have the 4 and the 6-inch, and I got 2 of my local guys that help me with jobs and running them as well. And so far, we hadn't had any problems. I think did you get one too? Haven't you got one of the V4s?
Not the Vivor. I've got
No,
two
you got the
different
Han and
ones.
Guan.
I got the Han and Guan as well as the AC Infinity. That's the one I bought for my basement shop, and then got the Han and Guan one in on a review thing to upgrade the outdoor shop. Both work really well. Both of them are the 6-inch style. And I've got links at my Amazon shop as well. Otherwise, I've got a couple of videos on. I've got one specifically about upgrading the exhaust in my shop that you can kind of see what the fan is and what I did with it. So
Cool. The extra wide, I think there's somebody was saying a while ago they're supposed to be shipping out tomorrow. I haven't really been keeping up.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they're shipping out starting this month, early this month, so maybe this week.
Yeah. Burncroft Print said he's using the screen print jig in his S1 to hold down the honeycomb.
Wow.
Yeah. It works.
I don't actually have the jig, the screen printing jig for the S1. I just have the D1.
Yours didn't come with one?
Mine didn't come with one
Wow.
at all, because I had kind of this that was one of the pre-production things I've gotten from them.
Oh, that's right.
I get
yeah.
pre-production accessories from them. I got the RA2 and then the screen printer. And I mean, literally not even a retail box. I had reams of paper shoved in there for packing material. It was kind of comical, but so they sent me the jig for the D1 later, but I don't have it for the S1. But setting up some sort of jig in both the S1 and the P2 to hold that honeycomb in place would be ideal.
Lance, I made a little L bracket that I use with mine. With the A24. Especially if you're using their honeycomb, you just literally make a little L bracket if you're using a spoil board or mounting it to the table. And once you trap that thing, I trap the machine and the spoil board. If you go to my the video that I did on my Adam Stack setup, or I think we did the same thing to yours, didn't we? When you were here and you did a video of your Adam Stack setup. Basically, what we do is we use an L brackets to hold the machine stationary. And then once you hold the machine stationary, you put the honeycomb in there, push it to the front left corner, and then use another little L bracket that you cut with your laser and put some screws in it to hold that honeycomb in that front left corner like that. And it basically, in effect, makes the A24 just like this as far as the honeycomb is more or less indexed. So at that point, as long as your material is sitting inside the honeycomb on that corner, you know that's the same spot every single time. So the A24 is pretty. They almost nailed it, but they didn't quite fix it to where the honeycomb didn't move. The Genmitsu L8, they actually did trap their honeycomb, which was a good thing in that one. Adam Stack, if they'd have just one more 3D printed part, they could have had it. They could have nailed it, but they didn't. All right. Tom said he's getting ready to pull the trigger and didn't want to buy a problem. Been running the Comgrow Z1 10 watt for a couple of years and would love, so it would be a major step up. I'm trying to remember which machine he was asking about.
I mean, the Comgrow Z1 10 watt was a pretty nice machine, but that is pushing a couple years old now. So
yeah, it was a decent machine. He may have been the one asking about was he asking about the Creality? Maybe I can't remember. Yeah, there's lots of good machines out there now, especially budget machines. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if you've been using the Comgrow Z1 and you liked it, don't overlook Sculpt Fun. Their S30 series.
He was talking about the Adam Stack A70. So that would be a huge upgrade, both in size and power. Speaking of Sculpt Fun, I'm playing around with their new one that, gosh, can't even remember what it's because it's got this weird A9 something something. It's their 40-watt version, but it's switchable from 20 to 40, and that's got some nice new features on it over their old S30 series. So there's a lot of good options out there for jumping up from the original 10 watts. But
yeah, Mark, that's my philosophy is, I have a backup for this enclosure. I've still got my Acer V35 in case something happens to the X40. I also still have my longer B1 in case something happens to the Atom Stack 70 that I typically run in here. As well as once I get this one out of here, the Algo Laser MK2 Alpha MK2. Once I get it out of here, it's going to be my backup machine for this guy. So I always have an extra machine. That way, if all three of these machines die, I technically have a machine I could put to work in their place. The only problem would be with the Alpha is it's not going to have an enclosure built around it. But I would have two other machines I could use. So, yeah. Speaking of, had an extended honeycomb bed review. Was that steel that you were using? He's asking. I think it's the same. The Nivel, the same one that I've got, right?
there's two that I have that are extended and steel. The Nivel is great. There's also the Geek Bee, which was kind of they had a black coating on it. I don't know if it's anything more than paint, but both are steel, and both work pretty well. You do want to make sure you support it well because they do start to get a little bit of a sag in the middle if you have it just supported on the corners and such. But yeah, I think both of those are linked again in my Amazon store, or just I should have video. I've got a video on the Nivel. I don't have a video on the Geek Bee. I have an Amazon video on the Geek Bee. They asked me about it in an email, and I said, well, I'll use them, but I'm not going to just drop a random YouTube video out about this. So both of those work well. So yeah, they're fully steel and magnetic.
Yeah. Oh, your buddies at Daddy Wheels, have they reached out to you?
Not
Is it Daddy Wheels? Well, apparently they have a new 450 by 900 honeycomb.
Mm.
And they asked me if I could do a video with it. I told them I wouldn't mind testing it out and just doing a real short, it's a honeycomb. This is what I think about it, but I don't know what, I don't know if they're going to say that or not.
Sure. Yeah, that's the thing with some of those accessories is that there's only so many things you can say about a.
Well, I figured if I could put it between on two sawhorses and stood in the middle of it, if I did that, it would, it would turn into a taco shell. But no, I told him I would just kind of, I said you can't do. There's not much you can do about a honeycomb, but if you want me to look at it, I've dealt with them before.
Yeah.
Didn't have any issues with them or trying to tell me how to do my job or anything. So I told him I was like, yeah, send it. I'll drop you a short video out or something. Just to give you a shout out.
Tell them we need an extra one to give away.
Well, I actually did mention that, so I'm kind of waiting on my emails.
Maybe we'll
that's my new thing is I'm like, hey, if I take this into the video, can you send me another one, but drop ship it to an address that I give you? So that's what I'm trying to do with all these small things. And if it's too small a thing, I'm gonna be like, hey, okay, I'll do it, but you got to give me 6 of them, 1 to me and 5 that I can address to other people. I feel like, get the whole Robin Hood thing going.
Yep. Want to keep pressing on that. Mike's asking, any experience with OhmTech lasers, the MF2 2028 CO2 for 3600? I don't have any direct experience with them other than looking at them. They are kind of your typical Chinese laser. They do have some support in the US, but so you're paying for a little bit of that, but I wouldn't expect it to be anything crazy about it. I think a lot of that you're still going to get kind of routed to probably some of their sports centers. So, the good about it is they're a typical machine. They're going to have similar parts to most of the others that are like the Mon ports and others that are like that. They're not highly customized from that. They use pretty standard gear. They connect up to Lightburn with the Ruida controllers and such. But I can't speak to their support or anything like that. So compare them to Montport, compare them to the generic lasers that you find elsewhere. Look at the price, maybe feel them out with a couple questions for like pre-sale support, see what you get a feeling on that. Otherwise, it's another rebranded Chinese laser for those CO2s. So I would get your best feeling on support and roll the dice from there.
Yeah, I've never had one. Seen a few, but yeah, pretty much what Steve said.
When I was looking at those, I found plenty of information online that I felt comfortable that even if I had problems, I'd be able to get support from various, groups, forums. I mean, we're talking like 8-10 years ago, so there weren't as many Facebook groups per se. But yeah, the nice thing is that their components aren't proprietary. So even if OhmTech isn't able to support you, usually the greater internet community can help you out to find issues or find solutions to your issues. So
Bob said he has one, and tech support is slow. I mean, slow's better than non-existent, though.
yeah, and like I said, I have a friend who has had, partnerships, or he worked with a sales rep, and he worked, on some of these larger companies, and he still was running into these problems. So I don't think you're going to get away with even spending a little bit more money. So make sure you're comfortable with the price up front. Do a little searching to see if there's community support for what you're looking at, and then make your judgment on that as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're caught up on comments, I think. If anybody's asked a question that we did not answer, please post it now while the comments aren't rolling. So I don't know if anybody was in the X Tools launch video the other day, but I was trying to ask a couple questions in there, and they were doing this whole put this word in there to win, and you couldn't ask a question for nothing. That's the only downside, because I know me and you've talked about trying to go to a different software so that you can do like the keyword. You're gonna have to control what the keyword is and when you launch it. It needs to be the last thing you do before you go offline, because that was ridiculous.
So first off, they generally have a lot of people in their streams for that, because people know they're giving away things. And then you got to take into account there's delay. Some people are on a cash stream, so that's one thing. If you're watching any live stream and you feel like you're behind on the conversation, just refresh your browser. You might miss a few minutes, but you'll get you caught up and do it. So
yeah,
some things to keep in mind.
Yeah, Bill said he's running both the Sculpt funds as we speak. He also has now has an original Algo Laser Alpha over there that apparently he's not running. But yeah, he's got the S30 and the Cube.
North Alabama Barbecue Bullets is asking, XCS2.0, is it D1 Pro compatible or no? I'm pretty sure it is. I honestly haven't run mine with XCS 2.0 yet. I was actually thinking just the other day I was going to fire up my 20 watt for a couple things again. So I'll definitely give that a shot. But as far as I understand, it is compatible with the D1 Pro as well. As far as being better than version 1, depends. They've moved some things around, so you're going to have to relearn a few things. Do you need it for the D1 Pro? I mean, if you're comfortable with one, maybe stick with that for a bit. They just released a new version, I think, in the past week or so, which I think is, from what I heard, has some bugs, is with changes to power settings and such. So I wouldn't. It's still technically in beta. It's just available to everyone. So I would probably hold off on it for a bit before jumping on that, unless there's really something that's not working well for you. But as far as I understand, it's supposed to still be compatible, and I'm guessing we're going to get a test from Clack here if he pulls all of his stuff out.
That's the original D1.
Oh, we're going to really go back and test it.
We're going to throw it way back. If I can find the power supply, I don't know what to do with it.
Just plug it straight into the wall. It'll be fine.
Give me a second to see if I can find the power cord.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to do the pitch for our laser engraver community map. Down in the description of our videos, you should see a link to a few things. Our laser engraver community, which is a Facebook group that is quickly approaching 2,000 members. We appreciate everybody there sharing their projects, asking questions. It's a good way to reach out to us and this community to get help or share your ideas and thoughts throughout the week. But we also have a laser engraving community member map. This is completely optional. There's a form you could fill out. Just ask for a display name. That could be your real name. It could be your business name, whatever you want to put in there, and then a location. So it doesn't need to be your address. It could be your city, state, or anything that Google Maps picks up that's in your area. And it's just first off, it's kind of cool to see where everybody's at. It also allows people to see, others that might be around them, and if Clack and I are going to an event somewhere, we'll kind of reference the map and say, hey, it looks like there's a few people in this area. Maybe want to invite people for a meetup, grab dinner or something. So feel free to drop your information on that form if you haven't already. And it is I have to manually update it. I did it just before the show, and I'll do it again after this. So if you don't see it right away, don't worry about that. But yeah, it's just kind of a fun thing we started. I think about around Thanksgiving last year. So in the past 6-7 months, we've picked up about 475 pins in the map worldwide already. So thanks everyone who's jumped on there. And if you want to drop your pin, go for it.
Can you believe there's an update for this machine?
I'm sure. Sure you want to do it?
Okay, no, I'm not. Let's see. X-Tool D1 10 watt. This is the original 10 watt too. Now this is laser box basic. So
back in the good old days.
Yeah. Let me see here if I can remember how to work this machine in the software. Red Cross.
Now remember, it doesn't have limit switches.
Oh yeah, I gotta home it. Watch this. Actually, it's not letting me push it. There we go. Hang on. There we are.
It's got to wake up from its long slumber.
Oh, I got a screw backing out right there too. Oh, this thing's been sitting out for a minute. It's not been robbed for parts. It doesn't have an air assist module on it or anything. So let me see if I can.
That poor thing.
Let me see if
it worked so hard for you, and now it just hangs on the wall.
Well, I mean, it's
like that. It's
the
like
work area is kind of janky.
It's like the those signs they give you, the first dollar bill earned or whatever.
All right, so let me see if I can make it frame. This could go horribly wrong.
All right. Well, while you're playing with that, let me see if I can.
The framing function is ready. Push the button. What?
Yeah, you got to push the button on the thing.
Okay, hang on.
Mark's asking about CO2 lasers like OhmTech. Downside of getting manual focus versus autofocus. It depends on the implementation of it. I know some people who have gotten the autofocus with the probes, and they can be finicky for some people. They work well for others. Mine had my original CO2 laser didn't have autofocus. I had basically a spacer block that I created that went in between the air assist cone and your material. And then I had a couple of buttons because it had a powered lift bed. So I would just push up or down and space it out. I never found that to be too much of a hassle. And as a matter of fact, it was fairly easy for me to dial in. I could do a stepped key. So if it was, 3mm versus 6mm cutting, I could have it slightly off so it's centered. So now I've seen some that didn't have the powered lift bed, which was really annoying because it had a little crank that you have to go by hand. Not the end of the world either, but it's kind of like on the diodes, manual focus with the adjustment knobs. It doesn't screw up too easily. With the autofocus, there's always something that can go wrong. So I don't know. it for me, it's kind of take it or leave it as long as the manual focus is not a difficult operation. And usually with a spacer block on your air assist cone, that's an easy way to get it set up right. Travis,
right,
oh, you got it ready?
Well, press the button. Okay.
Still working on it.
I'm really not used to running it with XCS at all.
Yeah, it adds a few extra steps over Lightburn. Travis said added limit switches and a tumbler y-axis switch to the Faceta, totally different beast now. Yeah, that was my one thing when I had mine, is if I wish they would have added the limit switches and maybe forgot about that whole filter thing. I know they're add-on ones, and that makes it a really awesome machine. So that's great. And adding in the y-axis switch, if you do a lot of tumblers, having one of those works really nice. And the little extra width on that machine, I really appreciate it. So it's a really nice machine. If they would just polish it up a little bit, but aftermarket stuff is pretty easy to add to it.
Okay, it looks like it's going to need a bit of a firmware update. It's not sending the file properly. Which, no surprise. So we'll see. Let's see here.
Do I need to put my goggles on if you're going to do that?
Oh, my bad. Hey, safety first, man. Safety first. Yeah, it's not wanting to send the file at all. But like I said, I'm working on LaserBox basic firmware, but it does work with it though. Let me disconnect it and see if it'll let me.
Yeah, if it connected and saw it, that's a good sign. Like I say, I'll have to. I do plan on hooking up my 20-watt here. Like I say, I'm just trying to shuffle some things down in the shop down here. I'm toying with making my basement shop my X tool shop because it's less dusty, so it'll be a good home for the P2. It'd be a good home for the screen printing setup. The X2 F1 can kind of float around wherever. But it'll allow me to set up the S1, the P2. I got the D1 that can go off, so I'm kind of playing with kind of setting those up down here to be running that. And then out in my other shop, I can have the custom enclosures for the other things. So you giggling at.
New firmware found 40.30.1.010.01 is recommended. My current version is 40.30.008.01 B3. So there's been like 9 versions since they did it last.
You have neglected it for a while,
Well, I haven't used it much. It's been a backup only. And I don't like having to put that little switch even.
So Mike's, we've been getting this question every few weeks, and we talked about it a little bit earlier this in the live. We've been contacted by Xtool, but we're kind of in a holding pattern for them, hoping to get our hands on them to before we really say good, bad, or otherwise as far as our personal experience on it. So hopefully more to come.
Wish me luck. If I fry my 3-year-old freaking Xtool, I'm gonna be upset. Not that I use it for anything. It's missing an air assist cone anyway. It's on the longer B1.
Yeah.
I gave my buddy Tip. I gave him the 20-watt Pro to use. So I just kept this one because this was my very first laser I ever bought, and I had to sleep on the couch, I think, for a whole week after I bought this machine. So me and it kind of go way back.
Well, at least yours arrived in a small package. My first laser arrived via freight on a pallet crate that I had to like have them load onto my trailer so I could bring it around to my shop. There was no hiding. It's like, why is there a semi in front of our house?
Yeah, my wife was like, "You spent $800 on a what?"
Well, I had researched and debated and talked about it so much. I think my wife was just, would you just buy it and stop talking my ear off about it? So I know if I just talk about something long enough, I'll wear her down enough to where she just tells me to buy it.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, hang on, stand by. Safety equipment.
But I don't know if everybody caught. I did post a video on my customized apparel stuff this week, and did make delivery with the pork farmer just the other day, and he was very happy with the stuff. And those are some of those business to business leads I'm looking forward to expanding on. And um, everything went well. As a matter of fact, he said I didn't charge him enough, which is always a good sign with your customers when they're happy with your work and your price. So hopefully more to come on that. Between the screen printing, the leather engraving, and then the DTF transfers, it was a nice mixture of customization stuff. So,
well, there's your answer, guys.
it's pew pewing.
It did require a bit of a firmware upgrade. Yeah, Norbert said getting laser and marriage advice from Steve. Yeah, just make sure your wife's as patient as his is. That'd be the only catch. I could see that being a bit of a hang up for some of us.
Well, I mean, I'll preface that with hopefully you're taking good care of your family, so that just like, and that's the thing is certain purchases I will hem and haw over way too much, and so I generally get the idea that if she says, "Would you just hurry up and buy it or stop talking about it?" then things are probably okay. That's my litmus tester if I'm going the right direction or not. Bob, for these I was using the leatherette with the adhesive backing, and then I used a Beaver hat press to apply them. And that's worked really well. And the thing with that is they wanted some black hats and then needed a nice contrast to that with the patches. So I did the gray, what was it? The gray with the black border, and no, it was the black patch with the silver border. Actually, I think is what we ended up going with. So the leatherette stuff works really well in that they have multiple colors, and using the heat press to attach them worked really well. It just activates that adhesive really well. I've used it on my own hats for a while. Like here's one of them with the blue and the silver, and it will pull off after a while if you really pull on it, but just normal wear and tear. I haven't had any problems with it. So I'm gonna, I'll wear out the hat long before that pulls off of there.
All right, it needs a little TLC. I can tell you that now. It's got just a little bit of left-right shift on the on the X. So it's probably that loose screw that I saw. But yeah, I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time adjusting on it because, like I said, it's more or less a showpiece at this point. It's a 10-watt non-pro with no limit switches. I just made a little plaque for it and hung it up there. It's my first laser, data purchase, and all that good stuff.
So Janet says, I just show my husband what I made with it and wait till he notices another machine. That's so my other hobby being model airplanes. About 10 years ago or so, I was really heavily into the hobby, also working the hobby. I was working for various companies doing product development and technical writing. And this is, of course, all on the side. I was doing some videos. I was a Midwest editor for a magazine. I was heavily into it. And so I constantly had new airplanes coming in and out, and I would literally have it parked right in the middle of the garage. And I'd be like, hey, did you notice the new airplane? She's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. And that was getting to the point where people would ask me, how many airplanes do you have? I'm like, I couldn't tell you because, they were just coming in and out from whether I was developing a product for someone, I was reviewing it for a magazine, or it's actually a project of my own. So yeah, sometimes just hiding it amongst the masses of stuff.
No, Jason, it's on the gantry. It's not behind the keyboard, but there's no telling what all it needs. I mean, the belts are probably loose. It's seriously been hanging in my trailer now for almost 2 years. This is the first time this thing has made smoke, and well, I'll take that back. The very first event I did with my D1 Pro, that flame sensor kept giving me fits, and I had to throw it in the enclosure on a portable shack and run it. But
yeah, that reminds.
other than that moderate X shift,
Oh, it
up
looks
top,
fine. Looks fine.
it works, but it does need some
Yeah,
adjustments.
little mechanical adjustments on there.
Obviously something binded, and I can't swear that wasn't a cable got binded because
Yeah.
I just kind of threw it down there without checking the cables. But yeah, it works.
So
And that was with I'm guessing this is this is the new beta uh XCS. So this is what
yeah.
I'm running it with right here. And let's see, help. Well, where's the about section? Is it under settings? There we go. What version is this? 2.055 beta. And I don't know if there's any updates or whoa. Yes, there is an update.
Yeah, like I said, they just came out with one, but I wouldn't do it yet. So I've heard a variety of issues with them. Yeah, Jason's comment, being in IT, it reminds me of the whole the handoff you would do when escalating or handing off a ticket, and you'd say, "Well, this person has a PEBCAC error." Do you know what that is? Have you ever been told that?
No, I don't hang out with y'all.
It's an acronym. If anyone ever tells you that, it's a problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Yeah, I don't deal with y'all IT people.
Travis is asking, is it okay to hang the gantry laser engravers up on the wall when not in use? And both you and I have done that.
I hope so.
Yeah. There's a couple things you need to kind of keep in mind. You want to make sure that it's not, that when you hang it up there, that the gantry doesn't like slam down too fast or whatnot, and that it's not pinching on any cables or belts or rods. But I actually did a video where I made some French cleat holders, and as long as it's really just supporting on the frame, and I prefer to have my hooks or whatever out to the far sides where they're closer to the rails. So it doesn't really induce any bending or whatnot. Yeah, I've done that with a number of my lasers that I need to, pull one into the enclosure, swap one out, and haven't had any problem with that. But it does take a little bit of care in how and where you're hanging them and making sure it's not putting pressure on anything that could hang up or get bent. So.
Well, that one's been hanging in here for several months. It had been hanging in my trailer for 2 years. And other than, like I said, some minor adjustments, which it needed anyway. Yeah. What, y'all got my wife in here on me now?
Charlie's commenting, first time viewer, just got a Falcon 2 laser, trying to learn Lightburn is a bit intimidating. Yeah, I think we hear that a lot, but there's a few things you can kind of break it down to make it a little bit easier. Both Clack and I have some videos on using Lightburn for developing different things. Also, our good friend Louisiana Hobby Guy, he has a lot of videos on Lightburn and kind of getting started with it and whatnot. So my recommendation is just take a couple of simple projects, play with your, watch my video on, material test settings. So you can first dial that in to get your cut and your engraving speeds, and then just set something up like a coaster or a keychain where you need to do a cut and an engraving. Play with your fill and your line settings to do those, and you'll just pick a small project like that, and that'll help out. Otherwise, jump in here on our lives, watch our videos, join the Laser Graver and community group on Facebook if you got that. Ask some questions there. We definitely wanted to help people not get frustrated, at least get started with theirs and such. So, enjoy it. We understand it's a bit intimidating, but it's also some really good software to be able to use. Once you get a few of the basics down and get it set up, it'll become a lot easier.
Yeah, it's not that terrible. Like I said, my buddy Bill, he kept telling me for months, because I kept telling him, I was like, man, you need to try these lasers. They're fun. I need some help on some of these jobs. I can send you some work once you get good at it and all this. And he's like, man, I've never really been one, to be really handy with computer programs and stuff. And so finally, he sat down one day and played with it. And I mean, within a week, he was making projects, like decent projects. So it's not that terrible. But another
Sure.
pro tip for you guys that I didn't do, and I realized I didn't do it, so I had to go back and redo it. Mark these because they all look the same. So
Yes.
painter's tape and a Sharpie works wonders.
Yeah, I print out labels and then tape them on with packing tape as well, so they don't get they
Well,
don't get rubbed off or anything. But
well,
yeah,
I've
apparently
been engraving them. I've been engraving them with the com marker, but that was a quick fix. So I don't if I forget to do it.
so you don't have any tips for hiding purchases from spouses
Oh
at
no, I
all?
never had
None,
purchases from
never,
my wife.
nothing,
No,
never.
I talked to my wife. I discussed the pros and cons of the purchase extensively, and I
You'd
get approval
never
before and I get approval
you,
before making those purchases.
you'd never buy a large machine meant for cutting
Mm-mm.
trees apart.
No, no,
Nothing. No, wouldn't do
no,
that at all.
no,
Okay.
no.
I mean, that's why you got good friends for to keep those secrets, right?
Yeah,
They'd
yeah.
never rat you out, would they?
Yeah, my buddy decides at lunch to go, "Hey Brandy, so what are you gonna make when you get your sawmill?" And she's like, "What sawmill?" And then it hit her, because his face went what, and it hit her, and she just kind of turned and looked at me across the lunch table, and I'm like, "Dang it! I was waiting for the right time. I was waiting for the right time to tell her I'd ordered a sawmill." And then it wasn't probably what was it about 3 or 4 months I had started making projects and stuff, and I was like, man, I want to put a logo on the back of my stuff. I need a laser, so I ordered a laser, and then I went ahead and just outed myself on that one. It's like I ordered a laser to
Learned
put
your lesson.
put my logo on the back of projects, and she's like, you did a what? You ordered a what? Laser. And she's like, how much did that cost? And I was like, oh, $800. And I think her exact words were, "You spent $800 on a laser." I'm like, "Yeah, I did," but it'll pay for itself, and it did.
Well, well,
So then
Brandy,
6 months later, I bought another one.
Brandy, if it makes you feel better, my first laser I spent closer to $3,000 on. So he was far more responsible than I was.
Well, that depends on if you count the $5,000 I spent on the sawmill.
I was trying to
But now it
I was
it
trying
paid
to
for
gloss
itself
over that
too.
part.
Yeah, it paid for itself too after about a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So it
Well,
took me about a year to get my money back on that one, though. That was a big purchase. So
um, moral of the story: hide stuff at Clack's house.
ain't
David's
nowhere to hide it
asking.
around here now.
I mean, this guy's got an okay name, I guess, but David's asking.
Yep.
Lasers like the Lasermatic have a switch to go between 10 and 30 watts. Do you have to restart the laser after a switch? None of the ones I've seen. You can't do it on the fly, so it's got to be before you start the job. You got to set it to the power level. But and I think, didn't you say there was one? Was it the new ASMR that has electronically switched, or was that a pipe dream
They're
wish list?
saying it does. I haven't
So
I haven't seen it, but the ASMR did tell me they were wanting to send me one of the new machine that they have coming out that is a dual IR and it's a blue laser and IR in the same module, kind of like the F1 is, but
yeah,
it's a gantry style machine. So instead of having to take the module off and put the IR on there, you just simply change it in Lightburn. I'm guessing probably using a macro. Uh, I'm guessing, or maybe they've got it hooked up to M7 or
well,
M8. I'm not real sure how
yeah,
that works,
yeah.
but
So
supposedly you can actually set one layer to be blue, one layer to be IR, one layer to be blue, one layer to be IR. Supposedly, but I haven't got my hands on it yet.
yeah, yeah. So like that, like the F1 when you run it in Lightburn, you actually set up a macro button to switch. Basically tell it go do IR for this job, and then it defaults
Yeah.
back. So yeah, I would imagine it's going to be similar to that. But with the hard switches, it's just before or after the job. You don't have to power off or restart the laser or software for it. So
Yeah, I think all it does is really from what I can tell, it's just basically a switch that either powers half of the diodes or all of them, and it's just a hard kill, uh, from what I can tell.
MM Customs is asking when y'all embroidery machines coming.
Phew, Brandy,
Um,
if when we retire, or when I retire, and she decides she's got some free time, she can do embroidery. I'm good. I'm full up.
yeah, that only so much space for toys, and if I was to really dive into custom apparel stuff and felt there was a market, sure, it might be something to look into. But this is still a side gig for me, so I can only do so much. But that yeah, Sam over at Sam Craft has been jumping into that. He posted another video on getting set up to push more of his embroidery business. So if it's definitely something for a small customization business to consider. It's always good to have more options, but those machines, it's kind of like jumping in on the F1 Ultra or the P2. You're starting to get into thousands of dollars just to get into an entry level thing. So it's a bit of a, you got a plan and ready to act on it. So
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know if that's a rabbit hole I want to try to go down, because I've heard that embroidery software is kind of like CNCs. I mean, there's a lot goes into it as far as the thread count and the type stitch and all. That's not something I really see me getting into. Uh, the CNCs, the lasers, I enjoy it. I enjoy the woodworking. I enjoy building things. I don't know that I would enjoy embroidery as much. So,
well, you
and
get the right
besides that, I'm
machines.
out of
It's just
space.
you get the right machines. You kind of just load them up and let them run.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I just don't know that that's something I'm really into.
that's one of those things where it's nice to know someone that can do that stuff for you.
Yeah. Is there a way to keep an out of stack X20 Pro from making grinding sounds when homing? Seems to happen because there's no limit switches on the Z X axis, maybe setting. The X20? Isn't the X20 and the X30 the same? Or no, that's a.
Um, I mean, if there's no limit switch, uh, not sure how it's supposed to home because that doesn't have the. I'm surprised it doesn't have a limit switch.
Well, it may be. It may be like the old longers. They don't have limit
Yes, I mean,
switches either, but
well,
they'll
some of
actually
them will do
home.
it off of the voltage resistance on the. So like my Onefinity doesn't actually have limit switches either. It does it off the stall homing
Oh,
voltage.
look. I go to what is up with this is just disgraceful. I'm trying to look up a machine and they keep putting this big Sasquatch dude down here. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for data on this machine. I don't need to be seeing this Vintauri's workshop dude.
What can I say? When they want some good information out there, I guess.
Detailed diagram? No, that's
Uh,
not a detail.
I'm pretty sure that's supposed to have a limit switch on it.
I'm thinking it does too. It looks just like the A30.
Yeah.
Trying to find a photo. Yeah, that's the same as the A30. Pretty sure it's got limits. They may not be turned on in Lightburn. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that says it doesn't have them. Unless it's an older one. Maybe we're looking at the new one and it's an older one. But yeah, there are settings that you can have that if it has home switch. Yeah, Brad's saying he's got the A20 and it does have them. If it's grinding when it's homing, only happens when homing 2.5 years old. You can slow the homing speed down inside the controller settings if you need to, but I would just look and make sure it doesn't have a limit switch. Then maybe the limit switch is broke.
Yeah, it could be broken pins. I think they're on the bottom of the rail. Yeah, so it's going to be on the bottom of the rail closest to the module.
And that little metal piece may have just fell out of it too, because those things are, if you touch them wrong, they fall out.
I've had a couple of those like that. So, if you've got a voltmeter, you can check it at the ends. But yeah, it should have a limit switch there.
Like I said,
And
if
it doesn't, they're inexpensive.
I've got the 830 not in the shop, but like they haven't really changed the Atom Stack machines haven't changed all that much. Yeah, mine's under the bottom too on the X40. But it should have them, I'm pretty sure. Looking at CNC routers to go with a laser, what do you think? Get a laser.
Well, if you already have
looking at a CNC router to go with the laser, are you talking about like putting a laser on a CNC or just having a CNC to kind of use in conjunction with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the person who likes to have the machine try to be dedicated as much as it can within your budget and your space and whatnot. The jack of all trade machines are usually just that. They can do everything okay, but usually they do one thing really well and then other things okay. But yeah, there's definitely some decent machines out there to look at, depending on your space. Saint Smart's got a couple of decent. If you only have benchtop space, the 4040 is decent for smaller carvings, but the 6050 still fits well on a workbench, and it's about a 24 by 24 by 16ish. I don't know. It's 600 by 500 millimeters. So that's what the 6050 is for.
I wanted to say it was 500 is a little bit under 17, I think.
Yeah. So it's a decent size to be able to make some signs, and it'll support a trim router and 1/4-inch bits and such. Outside of that, you start getting into the larger machines like Clack's got his Shapeoko, and I've got my Onefinity, and you're committing a pretty big space to it for those size, but they definitely have more options and such. CNC routers, there's a lot of crossover between lasers and CNC routers, but there are definitely things that each one does better. You can do pocketing if you want to do epoxy inlays. You want to cut through thicker materials if you want a nice straight parallel cut or perpendicular cut to your work, to your material. A CNC router is going to be able to cut through more faster, but it's not going to necessarily be as detailed as quickly as a laser will. So,
recognize that piece of wood?
It looks like you burnished it quite well.
No, I just sanded it.
No, you're at the point where you're burnishing it.
It's just sanded. It's buffed. Yeah, I ran it down to like 320.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really sanded. But this is actually a piece of wood that Steve has touched, guys. If you watch my video where we ran the sawmill when Steve was here, this is the oak that we milled up when we first started milling. I took a piece of it today and made this out of it. I'm gonna be giving it away as part of our Merchants Association stuff. But yeah, it's slick. It's slick as a baby's rear right there. So, wow. Yeah, and I even got it engraved. Got the GPS coordinates for the stump. Well, where the stump used to be. All that good stuff. Because this is actually locally harvested, rescued from the dump oak that me and Steve milled. I've been drying it ever since he left down here. I pulled a piece of it out, flattened it using the planer, put it on CNC, and made this guy. So, woohoo! It's some pretty cool wood.
So, how short are you again?
I'm just a fuzz over 6 foot tall. Depends on what boots I'm wearing. If I'm wearing my show enough cowboy boots, I'm about 6'1".
Yeah, I'm about 6'5".
Yeah, you're just grotesquely tall. Like, he was trying to stay in the camper and he had to put his head in the skylight to take a shower. And I'm not lying. He had to put his head in the skylight to take a shower in the camper.
Hey,
He looked like a bubble. He looked like the bubble boy from the outside. You can see his head sticking up over
Hey.
the roof of the camper while he was showering.
You told me I had some privacy there, man. But yeah. Height is all relative, so I get to call you short.
Okay. Oh,
David's asking if either of
Oh,
you
go ahead.
tried to use a laser and a CNC on the same project, and
Oh,
yeah, I have.
yeah, just
Generally,
like that one right there.
yeah, things like that. So yeah, generally it'll be something where I'm doing like a customization engrave after cutting it out. Actually, I have a couple things I was doing some while I was cleaning up and moving things around in my shop. I was kind of brainstorming some ideas, and so actually, do I have it here?
Well, you remember that flag? I CNC'd it, and I went back and engraved the bottom of the CNC work and browned it on a piece of oak.
So
But yeah,
so this is a CNC dish made out of
Mm.
cherry, but then on top it has an off-center, slightly off-center engraving there. So that's kind of an example where the laser will finish that off, but this is done on a CNC to cut out the actual dish part. And I thought I had it here, maybe not. There was another project I was planning on doing. I was going to do a couple of these, kind of to give some ideas around kind of starter CNC projects, but also how you can incorporate a laser into it as well. But I also have a gaming dice box where it holds there's like the variety of like the D20 down to the normal 6-sided die. I designed that for a couple people years ago. I thought I'd revive that one as an option. So both of those are things where you would generally start on a CNC and then flip it over to the laser to customize it.
yeah, I just did one the other day. It was actually I cut the shape out with the CNC and then engraved and did a bunch of cutouts with layers and stuff on the lasers. I thought I had a picture of it still. I put it somewhere. I don't remember where I put it.
Yeah, I thought I had mine down here, but not seeing it.
Oh, I know where I put it. It's on my website. What? Oh, I put www. They say, what in the world's happened to my website? Too many W's. Let's see. There it is. Let me get this up here where y'all can see it. Right here. So, go back. That is actually a piece of plywood that I CNC'd. I even put the lines in it to make it look like a wood wall. And then this is 1/4-inch plywood material that I painted, and I did it's total of two layers of Luan. You've got the outer ring, and believe it or not, I cut this in 2 pieces. If you look really, really close right there, you can see where they go together. But I did a pretty good job of gluing it up, so you couldn't see them that well. But that's one layer. The green is the second layer, and of course the names are the other layer. But that is a CNC and laser project. This one was done. This I cut out with the CNC and engraved with the laser. And this one I cut out with CNC, engraved with a CNC, and then that one I cut out with a CNC and engraved with the CNC as well. So what it boils down to is I cut those 3 out, and when I was getting the order ready, I was running those on the CNC, and I was like, you know what, I'm ripping this one out on the laser. So that's 2 projects, and then here's one that me and Steve did while he was down here. That's CNC, but there is a graphic on the back of it that's lasered under the bottom of it as well, because that's the first project me and Steve ever worked together on. Like both of us like had input and put it together and all. So yeah, do it quite often actually. So
All right,
there you go.
I found it.
What'd you find?
Here's this is a little dice box. So laser engraved little dragon on there. And then
Is it a dice box? Because it looks like it holds something else. Okay, it is a dice box.
so yeah, yes, it's a dice box. So yeah, it holds the variety of dies in there. Just got some magnets and some pockets there that hold it together nicely. You know, not going to come apart. And so yeah, once again, this is you set the file up to where this gets cut out one piece here. So these would be laying flat on the CNC. It mills out all the pockets and the magnet holes, and then yeah, you can engrave the top and the bottom. So that's something I'm going to revive this and I'll get some stuff out there on that. So yeah, it's a lot of times in those scenarios the laser is going to be used to just add the engraving.
Yeah, there's
to
another one. There's another one. There you go. So yeah, lots of them. I do the old 1-2 on a bunch of stuff. Oh man, I got a lot of pictures on this thing.
David's asking, should VCarve and Lightburn be the same if you start from a common point? So even if you have a module on a CNC router that you can switch between, you're going to need at least an offset to be able to share your home point, because they're not going to, your 0 point for your router is not going to be the same as your laser. It's going to be off to the side or something. And typically a lot of those you might not have the module on the CNC router full time. So a lot of times what you'll do is be able to reference something. Whether it's like this, it would just be the center of the box I'd probably set my origin, or you could create a jig since this is a simple square shape. But a lot of times when I'm customizing an object that I'm not cutting out, I will actually use a center point, to get it centered there. But yeah, it generally you're not going to be able to match them up, a home point to home point. So.
No, David Allen. We were actually fit checking. He stepped in there. He was fully clothed, and he stepped in there just to make sure he was able to use it, because I told him, if you can't fit your big Sasquatch self in there, you can come in the house and use the shower in the house. But he's like, oh, I think I can fit. And he stepped into the shower, but literally his head was like this into the little, what you call it? The little, like, it has like a dome, like a little bubble.
Most RV or motorhome or travel trailer showers have just that little skylight kind of dome in them, because the floor of the showers in those things end up being elevated anyway. So they try to accommodate, normal sized people with a little dome.
But no, I was he was trying it out to see if he needed to come in the house and use the shower. So he got in there and he's like, I think this will work. And he's like, kind of simulating what it would be like. But he was fully dressed at the time.
Yeah.
Now I wish I'd have took a picture, because he did fill the shower up.
Yeah. Well, none of them are. I mean, if you get into the larger motorhomes and like the fifth wheel campers, you start getting kind of more normal sized outfits. But yeah, those smaller travel trailers tend to be pretty compact and everything.
Yeah. Michael said he went ahead and pre-ordered the Arlo laser.
Algo.
Okay, yeah, to use as a backup. Any ideas they actually start filling orders? I do not know. They had the launch the other night, and like I said, it's not a bad machine. And even the folks from Algo Laser actually commented on my short that I did where I chopped the cover off of it.
Yeah, how they?
Yeah. Well, he asked me when he sent me the email. Of course, I told him, I said, hey, I've got my review video out, and here it is, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, what kind of improvements or modifications do you see that we need to make to the machine? And I'm like, lose the cover. At least give us a way of taking it off. I understand you need to put it on there for safety, but give us a way to take the thing off without having to take a rebar saw to it like I did. Because, dude, it was just because it was hitting everything. This machine doesn't have the standoff as some of them does, which is fine. But with that shroud on there, I couldn't frame nothing, and you can't hardly see through the glass. And I was like, okay, let me fix this. Now I did have to create myself a focus tool because I took the cover off. So I have
Mhm.
this little focus tool now that I built to where I can just stick that under there, let it down on it, and go to work. But yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll let the engineers know. And I'm like, that's the only complaint I got. And bring back the little automatic retracting focus tool because that thing was cool. But that and the shield is the only two. That's my only two gripes about this machine. Other than that, it's fast, and it works. It works great. So uh, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they'd extended the focal range just a little bit to get the module higher off the material. But as long as you're working with reasonably flat material, you should be fine. If you're working with leather or something that curls real bad, you just need to make sure you secure it down real good.
I blame you for this one.
No, that was David that brought up the thing about showering. And it was
Yeah,
just because I
David,
said
you.
you had your head stuck up. You had your head stuck
Okay,
up through
see,
the roof.
she already said it was too much information. Now you're just repeating
Oh,
it. Yeah, so Mark Patterson's asking how square can you get an inside corner given that you were using a round cutter? And that's correct. It's only going to be as tight as the radius of the tool you're using. Now, outside cuts you can definitely get square, but inside they're going to be rounded. Now, they do
hmm
have, if you're trying to do an assembly and you're not worried about looks, they do have what's called dog bones, where the cutter will kind of dip into the corner to cause a relief. But now, when you slide your square corner into that, there'll be just a slight rounded, but it'll allow the squareness of the corner to just kind of dip into that. So there are ways around it for assembly when tight fits aren't required. Like a tight seam isn't required. But if you need a square corner that doesn't show anything, CNC router is going to leave you with a little bit of cleanup work with a chisel or something. So
yeah,
that's where,
chisel or either a square file or something
yeah,
like that. To
that's where you or you round off the corner of your other material. So
Yeah,
that's
you can.
where
I've been
the
looking at doing the hidden dog bones for
Mhm.
beehives and stuff, where you do the hidden dog bone so that the dog bone doesn't go all the way through. But
Yeah.
but yeah, but with an 1/8 inch bit doing cutting, you can get some pretty tight corners on the inside.
Yep.
And in most cases, it's not going to be a big game changer. Or
Yeah.
you could always
Usually.
break out the old jigsaw and touch those up if you needed to,
Mhm. Yep.
or the oscillating saw, which is what I use if it's one of those situations where I need to.
Tim's asking, are fiber lasers harder to use and learn?
I don't know about harder.
They add another dimension because you have your power, your speed, and your frequency. And some of them also the
Pulse.
pulse delay, the duration. So there are more variables, which adds some complexity. But that's one of the nice things. If it's a EasyCAD 2 fiber laser, then you can use Lightburn with it. Part of the hard part is that depending on the laser, the control software might be, a whole new thing to learn. So
Yeah.
there's adding that to it. But it's I don't know about harder. It's something different. And I think once there's some skills that'll translate, but it's kind of like learning a new tool with different features. So
Yeah. Chris said he loved the clip with the module mod. Hey, it irritated me the one last time. The only reason I bought that rebar cutter was for that purpose for lasers. We were actually in Gatlinburg at one of the outlet malls where they sell tools in the outlet mall. And I'm walking down through there and I see this thing and I was like, I need that. And Brady's like, what do you need that for? It's like a little miniature grinder slash chop saw thingy. And I'm like, those lasers that they fix them where you can't cut the covers off. I was like, that'll do it because it's made to cut like rebar and stuff. But it works good. You have to tape it and mark it with, I use painter's tape to tape it and mark it and tape off all the, sensitive parts and stuff like that. And then, but yeah,
I haven't been as crazy as you to cut any of mine off, but I do have I have a metal bandsaw that I have a
Oh,
stand.
that would work perfect.
Yeah, I have. I bought the stand that a guy made. It's half 3D printed, but it's got like a steel plate. And you bolt the whole thing into it, and it makes it into like a stationary bandsaw for that, which would work well for that too.
Yeah. Michael, I'll pretty much be there from like I think Brandy's going to be getting there about 6. I'm probably not going to be there at 6. I'm not a morning person. But I'll probably be there early from like 8, getting set up and everything. I think vendors open. I think we're technically not supposed to be open until like 10 or 11 maybe. Brandy can chime in. She knows. It's her event. But I'll be there until the thing's done. I'll probably actually have to stay there and help Brandy pick up signs and stuff like that after it's over with. So pretty much the whole day. Usually in the past, historically, I get home about midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning. So if you plan on coming to the Peach Jam Jubilee, come on. I do have now a little hindsight or a little a misstep on my part. I ordered T-shirts to take up there, and I didn't think about it. I ordered extra large and large. So if you're bigger than an extra large, you can get them from this and that vinyl, but I don't have any bigger than an extra large. So yeah, misstep on my
You're
part.
you're just prejudiced against us normal sized people, huh?
Oh, there it goes. Vendors. Hang on.
Just kidding.
Vendors 11 to 7. Hey, I'm trying to avoid you. Vendors are from 11 to 7. Music starts at 6 to 10 p.m. The last singer up there is going to be Chris Jansen. There's going to be a couple of others. I don't know who they are. But if you'll go to if you'll just search for Peach Jam Jubilee, I think it's peachjamjubilee.com. I think is their website, maybe. And it should be in some of my recent videos that I dropped, but there'll be more information there. It's a free event. Doesn't cost anything to get in. There's no tickets. There's no, other than stuff that you buy from the vendors while you're there, it doesn't cost anything. Parking's free. I mean, the whole thing's free. So, yeah.
You know,
All right.
an XLT would work as well. I mean, if you really, just saying.
XLT, extra large tall, or is that like a F-150 XLT?
No. I mean, if you want to give me one of those.
There it is. Well, I said it is. She wound up typing jubilee.com. Yeah. peachjamjubilee.com. Let me pull it up. I'll drop you a link, Brandy, because it looks like your phone is spell checking it. She uses a phone or iPad. All right. Yep. Here's the link for it. So if you're interested and you want to come check it out, that's the event. I'll be there selling some keychains, hanging out. Klein is supposed to be there with me if you don't stand me up. He kind of was late last year. Didn't get there till later. And they also have, Brandy wants me to mention, Peach Jam shirts at the Chamber tent. And do y'all have those in XLT brand? Or how about double XL?
Hey, I'm sorry. It's, I'm a tall guy.
Sasquatch.
Unless you like the crop top look on me.
I've been waiting on you to start wearing like some low cut shirts and stuff. After that comment you made on that video. I don't know who shared that. That was priceless. If y'all aren't members of the Laser Engraver community page, I strongly encourage you to go sign up to be a member of our Facebook page. It's a hoot, and somebody had a sense of humor and shared a Ginger Billy video. Well, I said they did. Did somebody get rid of it, or did they take it down, or is it just got buried?
It may have got buried.
No, it got buried. But yeah, one of you guys shared a Ginger Billy post that owned us, and I don't want to screen share it because they liable to copyright strike me or something. But if you're a member of the Laser Engraving community page on Facebook, go check that post out. Who shared it? Let me look at the name of the person that shared it. Brian Woodward shared it a day ago, and it's a Ginger Billy video that is hilarious. And Steve was trying to tell me I needed to do that in my next review video, which is not going to happen, Steve.
Missed opportunity, man.
If you'll do it, at first I'll do it. How about that?
I don't have the Southern accent.
Oh,
The Canadian accent just won't work with it. So
Hobo, woohoo, now the real hard. What? Waiting. What? 7XLT. Woo. Lord. Now that's a big feller. Is there such a thing?
anyhow, we are at
Brady said she got you some Peach Jam shirts. Did she? Didn't she? Or did she?
yeah, she sent some home with me.
Oh, okay. That's what I say. Oh,
But
you
it's
didn't get a
not
Clack Shack.
like-
You didn't get a Clack
yeah.
Shack shirt. My bad.
Yeah.
I didn't have them then. All I had was the ones that I wear.
Mhm.
I went and ordered some extra ones for the jam,
Nope.
just in case some
Mhm.
folks. Because I figure if folks show up that from especially out of state. Now, if you're from Clinton and you saw one of my videos, okay. But if you come in from out of state or from further off,
Yeah, I mean,
figure
like from
it's worth a
Minnesota,
shirt.
planning
Yeah,
it for
I
a
didn't
few
have 'em
months,
then,
knowing I was
Steve.
going to be there. I'm just saying.
I am going to have you a couple of triple XL T
Hey now.
Z's sit
Hey
up there
now.
to you. It's gonna look like a skirt. But anyway, it's been 2 hours and 11 minutes since we started this, guys.
We've gone a little
It's
long, yes.
been fun. Hobo got my tracking info too. What?
Yeah, they're talking about the XW's shipping this week for the Lasermatics. So people
Yeah, I
have
hadn't
ordered
heard
them.
it.
They start seeing them.
Yeah, I said I hadn't heard anything about it, but from what I can tell, it's going to be the same machine with a little wider. So, yeah, I don't know. What are you laughing at now?
All right. Just because one person says it's a bad idea doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
Bert Carprint said he just looked. If we do that, he'll unsubscribe. Seeing either one of us in spandex is not something that should be in front of anybody's mind.
Look at it as an opportunity to re-earn a subscription.
Oh, I ain't got the nerve for that, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, it was funny. Ginger Billy is exactly the person to do something like that. Y'all not making me cry. I'm laughing so hard. Ginger Billy has got the personality to do it. I don't. I can't do it.
All right. Well, if you get me
I might could do some creative Photoshop and put Steve in one of those.
What you do? You get me a thunder laser like that, maybe I'll consider it. But
yeah, I don't. I wouldn't have anywhere to put it anyway. So
yeah, I really don't need something that large. So
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're coming up on almost 15 minutes over. So it's been another fun live. Thanks everyone for hanging out with us. If you haven't, there's should be links to our various channels and such. So if you're here from Clack, you don't know who I am, check me out. If you're here from mine, you haven't seen Clack, go check him out as well. And we appreciate the support, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. I've been kind of crazy busy with work and tearing apart my workshops to make them a little better, but hopefully I'll be back at it with some of these projects I've been teasing tonight. And Clack's been cranking out the content as well as he gets ready for Peach Jam. So hopefully we'll continue to see some stuff like that. Otherwise, like I say, check out the Facebook group and such, where we can chat with people. Otherwise, we'll let you take it away.
Yeah, like I said, June 8th, I dropped the link down below a while ago, and I'll drop that one more time in case anybody missed it that didn't get it. But we'll be at the Peach Jam Jubilee. I'll be there. Brandy will be there, but she's going to be working, so she may or may not be able to run by. Klein says he's going to be there. Haven't talked to him this week. He's been out of town with his family, but as long as he's good to his word, he should be there as well. So hopefully we'll have a pretty good time and have a little help and can keep your stuff caught up. And like I said, if you show up, I got a few things that I'm gonna be having on hand and available that you might like. You might get some Clack Shack swag. But Milk Money, what did he say? Milk Money? What? I missed it. But I don't know what Milk Money said. Oh, he's talking about us doing that video. No, we're not doing it. I don't think either one of us, yeah, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all got enough money to do that. I have to hang on to some semblance of my dignity. But
That
yeah, Bill's gonna be there too. I think he may be busy though. We'll see. Maybe he can
that
come by after everything slows down.
that's the content you put on your special subscriber only channel, right?
I don't have one of them. This is all I got. But anyway, guys, appreciate it. Enjoyed it. And like I said, if you haven't seen some of the new stuff I got coming out, go check those videos out. I have been trying to keep things flowing, even though it's been really busy. And hopefully more to come as we move into closer to being Christmas. Father's Day is right around the corner. If you're not putting some Father's Day stuff out there, get started. I'm a little behind the 8 ball because of Peach Jam, but that's going to be the next occasion to sell some stuff. So till next time, guys, be safe. Have a good day. Steve.
We'll see y'all.